All right. Hello and welcome to this episode where we're going to talk about mental safety behaviors. And specifically, we're going to talk about this idea of mental checking or scanning. And so, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Matt, and I'm the founder of Restored Minds, and I'm the creator of the AAA Response. And so, in this series that we've been on, and if you haven't, this is your first time joining us on this series, really encourage you to go back to the beginning and really start with understanding, again, what are mental safety behaviors and how they impact the OCD and anxiety loop, and how I believe they're one of the things that keep most people trapped because simply because people don't realize that they're even doing them. I know from firsthand experience, like that was one of the big problems I had with mental safety behaviors, was that I didn't even know what they were, and let alone that I was doing them, that was perpetuating this loop. And so that's what kept me stuck for a long time, without realizing it. So please, if you're just joining us, head back to the first part of this series and then watch from there, because it will all build upon itself and will make more sense. So also, we'd really appreciate your support by liking and subscribing real quick, as well as leaving a comment and review. It really helps our show and our algorithm. So please show your support by helping us up with that. So let's dive in. So mental checking and mental scanning. Now, what we need to understand about mental safety behaviors is any of them can be used at any time, right? In any form of fear, or, any subtype, quote unquote, of anxiety and OCD. But when we come to mental checking and scanning, I'm going to reference some of the quote unquote types of fears that I see this more often with. It doesn't mean that it can't exist with other ones, and it doesn't mean that it only exists. It just means these are just common types that I see it with. So I just want to use them as examples. So mental checking, let's start there. When we're mentally checking, it's kind of like we're taking our awareness, right, and we're putting it into the mind and kind of scanning or checking to mind to see if several things. Number one, if we're having the quote unquote intrusive thoughts that day. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll kind of wake up and they'll kind of quickly scan into their mind real quick, like, okay, hey, let me check and see if the thoughts are there, right? And that quick little kind of like mental check, right? So that's an example of mental checking. They'll also check their body to see if they feel anxious, right? And this is where they also might scan their body, right? Hey, let me kind of check in with my body, see if there's any anxiety there. So just checking for the presence of symptoms with OCD and anxiety is one of the ways that this safety behavior, kind of manifests. And you're like, well, Matt, that sounds obvious. Like, why wouldn't I check if they're there? That's the problem that I'm trying to get rid of. I have to evaluate whether it's there or not. And therein lies the paradox, right? Because if we're checking to see if thoughts are there that we don't want, the intrusive thoughts, or if we're checking to see if feelings are in our body that we don't necessarily like, the issue is we're validating the idea to our nervous system that those really are dangerous and they are invasive, and therefore when they show up, we react to them. See, it's kind of like, to use an analogy I use often with acceptance, it's like if you had a friend or a family member or a loved one staying in your house, right? Like you wouldn't constantly check to see if they were there, right? Like if you invited them to stay in your house, right? And they were staying there, let's say for an extended period of time, a couple weeks, whatever, months. Would you always go around checking to see if they were there? Right? Oh gosh, are they still there? It's like that act of checking is a reflection on the idea that you don't want them there, right? Or that they shouldn't be there. So it's validating that belief that you shouldn't have these, or these shouldn't be here, or, anxious feelings are bad, intrusive thoughts are bad. And again, how you understand this problem is going to reflect what you do, which is then going to create certain results for you. Right? So understanding what we're really trying to address, which again is eliminating all your safety behaviors, is the goal. Not eliminating all your thoughts and not eliminating all your feelings. The thoughts and feelings decrease as a byproduct, right, of eliminating the behaviors. Um, so that's the idea of mentally checking or scanning just for symptoms, right? So checking for thoughts, checking for feelings, and the problem is usually when you try to check and see if something's there, you indirectly even create that, right? Because your energy and awareness kind of like just brings it to the surface. And so that's one thing. And then let's talk about scanning and bodily scanning. So this is more prevalent, I would say, with health anxiety, or health anxiety loops, as well as, intrusive thoughts related to sex, or harm, because, what the person will do. So let's start with health anxiety. So let's say you have a panic attack, right? And you get a rapid heart rate or a rapid heartbeat. A lot of times what will happen is like that fact that your heart was beating fast, will scare people. And, oftentimes very common for people that are having panic attacks to go to the emergency room or the hospital and claiming that they're having a heart attack, right? And so scanning or checking on a certain area of your body becomes almost habitual, right? Like you start checking to see how your chest feels. You start checking for tightness. You start checking to see if people that get caught on somatic sensations like breathing or blinking or swallowing, that scanning in to check that particular sensation of your body, right, is just, again, you're just scanning and kind of putting your awareness on that specific act of blinking or swallowing or breathing, your heart, or just pain, right? Even chronic pain, which, again, when you look at things like TMS, or the mind body syndrome, which Dr. Sarno, right, in the 80s was really the pioneer of this particular field of study. Now, there's a whole organization called, like, I think the PPD Association, which is like the psychological pain disorders. I apologize if I mistake. I'm just speaking off the kind of top of my head, but the PPD Association, I believe. But even that association links kind of anxiety disorders in that category of PPD, right? And which is interesting because, like, with chronic pain, it's really a very similar loop. The presence of pain is actually not the thing they're trying to get rid of. And oftentimes, by trying to get rid of pain, we hyper focus on it, and we, cause the nervous system to react to pain, which then makes it worse over time. And so, there's the app Curable, and a lot of people that have just done amazing work in that field of chronic pain that I think is very similar. And that act of scanning, though, right there is exactly what I'm talking about, or checking, mentally evaluating how you're feeling, all that stuff. And so when we're talking about scanning, I think another one that's important to address is scanning for sexual arousal, or scanning for any kind of sensation in the groin region, or scanning for, like, feelings, right? So if someone is worried about, like, what if I get attracted, or what if I am attracted, right? Those kind of thoughts, whether it's, and again, it could be questioning one's sexuality to, what if I turn into a pedophile? If I identify as straight, what if I turn gay? And if I'm gay, what if I turn straight? Right. Like that, what happens is when those obsessions get locked in, a natural, inquiry that the person usually engages in is judging whether or not they feel any sensation in their groin. Right. And so they'll, let's say, look at someone who they're, afraid they might be attracted to, and then scan their body to see how they feel. Did I feel any, like, love come up, or did I feel any arousal? And so that scanning act is another big mental safety behavior. Right. And so the point that I'm really emphasizing here in this series, though, is I just want to kind of give some insight into how these safety behaviors look, because it's just so important to see if you're doing them. Right. And again, we could talk till kingdom come, about all the different behaviors and all the different ways they can manifest. But the real point of this series is to say, hey, are these behaviors that I engage in? And if they are, right, then I need to really understand that that's the thing that's keeping the wheel spinning. Right. And instead of trying to, because again, the behaviors are always something we do in reaction to thought and feeling. And once we can understand that we're actually not trying to change the thought and feeling, but we actually need to change our reaction and start responding in a healthy way, hence the AAA response, right? That's why we teach that, is because once we start responding in a healthy way, it stops validating to our nervous system that we are in danger. It stops validating the idea that these thoughts are really dangerous. It stops validating the idea that our body needs to be treating this and putting us into this state of fight or flight when we're actually safe. So those are the behaviors that I want to talk about today, is just this idea of mental scanning, mental checking. And just, again, if it's something you're starting to do, just not beating yourself up because of that, just realizing like, oh, that, like, I do that. Okay. And then starting to take steps to again, remove that behavior so you're not spinning the wheel. And so, and if you're looking for a good next step, again, we have a free guide down below. We have a workshop you can join. We also have our complete, Taking Back Control program, as well as our various coaching programs that we offer. And so we're here to help you with this if this is something you struggle with. So you can always contact us at restoredminds.com. And again, check out the links in the notes, because those are some great places to start if you're interested in learning more. So I hope this was helpful. And I hope you just get to see, kind of how that works. And again, just really emphasizing this point that mental behaviors are the same as physical behaviors. They keep the wheel going. That's why this series, I just wanted to focus on mental behaviors, because if you're engaging in mental behaviors, that wheel's still spinning. We got to eliminate the mental behaviors and the physical. So with that said, hope you guys have a great week as always. And, and then we'll continue on the series here and talk about a few different more mental safety behaviors before we wrap the series up. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching that video. And so if you're struggling with OCD and anxiety, I just wanted to let you know that we have a free training for you over at Restored Minds, where you can start learning how to use our AAA response to really break out of that loop and ultimately take back control of your life. And all you need to do to access is just click the little link below, and you'll be taken to a page where you can register today. Thank you so much.